Well, now up. This is not. What is it?
Ladies and gentlemen, if we could kind of have everybody sit down for a moment if you don't mind. Ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, Commissioner Todd Drosky cannot be here tonight. He's unfortunately very ill, so he's fine. I think he's faking it, quite frankly, but he cannot be here tonight. So my name is Bill Gans. I'm the mayor of the city of Deerfield Beach. Commissioner Drosky's point of this District 4 meeting is to bring FDOT out here to talk about one of the biggest projects that's going to affect the city of Deerfield Beach in the last 20 years, and that's this Southwest 10th Street connector. We have FDOT who is here tonight to kind of explain the process of what is happening. They're going to show you what some of the artist renderings are for some of the potential solutions that they're trying to come up with on this stretch of road. Many of you know the history of this in the city of Deerfield Beach. 10th Street connector for decades has been an issue since they opened up the Sawgrass. The Broward Metropolitan Planning Organization has decided to move this project forward with FDOT, and they are looking to connect the Sawgrass to I-95. For several years, members of the community from the city of Deerfield Beach, as well as some of the surrounding cities, came together for a citizens committee to give input on what they felt this project should be if they were going to move forward. And the point of that was to make sure, at least from the city of Deerfield Beach's side, is to make sure that the city of Deerfield Beach was represented in this and that we were not sacrificed for what is a regional transportation issue. So we have fought long and hard with both Metropolitan Planning Organization, the outside cities, who have pushed this project forward. And we're going to continue to do that. Part of the recommendations that came forward were to make sure that we can make the best of what many of us consider a bad situation. So your input is vital on this because your input does carry weight. Many of the plans that you see here now have been directly affected by the community input. So thank you so much for being here with this turnout. Commissioner Drosky's plan with this was to make sure that people who may have missed many of the previous meetings that have occurred, to make sure you had an opportunity to find out what is going on. I'm going to ask you this. Obviously, this project is controversial. The people that are going to be presenting this and talking to you here today, don't kill the messengers. They're not the ones responsible for bringing this forward. So please, pardon? Yes, please do not kill the messengers. We're going to save questions for the end, but they're going to give you a little bit of a presentation. Hopefully some of your questions will be answered during the presentation. Anything that isn't answered after that, we'll be happy to answer some of those questions for you. Before we get started on that, we do have something, if you haven't signed up for, we have the Alert DFB, which is our new emergency alert program here, the notification system in the city of Deerfield Beach. If you haven't signed up for it, please do sign up for it in the back. We have a table set up for you. So right now I'm going to bring up Anson from the Florida Department of Transportation.
Thank you, Mayor Gans. Thank you all so much for coming out tonight. Really appreciate it. It's great to get feedback. It's a very important part of this process, like the mayor indicated. So I really appreciate you all taking time. I'm sure there's other things you'd rather be doing tonight than coming to a DOT presentation. I'm going to introduce the team as Cassie Pichet, the consultant project manager, Robert Boshin with FDOT. He's going to become the project manager. I'll still be involved. I'm still at DOT, but we're in the transition process now. He'll slowly be taking the reins. And Jimmy Battaglia, who's one of the designers and very heavily involved with the project. Tonight what we'll do is, as Mayor Gans indicated, we had an alternatives workshop on the 24th of April, and that's where we showed a lot of concepts that we've developed so far in the study to the public. And the purpose of that is to get feedback. It's really to get your feedback. This is not a set of plans that's ready to go to construction. This is a concept, and it's a concept to elicit feedback from local people like yourselves as to, you know, what do you like here, what do you not like, what can you live with, what is, you know, something that you're not crazy about. So we're going to do a presentation that's going to kind of explain the process, where we are in the process. We're a long way from construction. We're not even in final design yet. We're in the study phase. We're developing a concept, trying to get a concept that works for you, and works for the traffic, works for everybody, that's a win-win, that will improve your lives and improve the traffic flow. So Cassie Pache is going to do the presentation. We ask that you hold the questions to the end. At the end, what we'll do is we'll have a Q&A session, and then we'll also be here until as late as we need to be to kind of go over the roll plots and the different diagrams, kind of one-on-one or one with a small group of people is kind of the best way for folks to be able to follow what's going on here. It's kind of a complicated concept. You know, there's depressed roadways and things like that. So we'll be here as late as we need to, and we can walk everybody through this long plot. But we'll do the presentation, and then a brief Q&A session, and then, you know, one-on-one, just come up. We'll have an open house. The 4 of us will be here. We can answer any questions about what we have, the concepts we have shown, or the boards that we have here. Okay.
Thanks, Susan. So a couple of housekeeping things before I get started. For those of you that came in a little bit late, we do have sign-in sheets up here. I know you signed in at the back, but we also have a sign-in sheet for those of you who wish to be added to our mailing list. So if any of you who have not been added to our mailing list, if you want to get added to the mailing list, please sign in up front. We also have newsletters about the project in both English and Spanish, and we have comment forms that are designed to be, you know, written on, and then you can fold them and mail them back to the department. However, you don't have to fill one of these out. You can go to our website, which is listed on our newsletter, on the back of our newsletter, and you can fill out your comments there. Every comment is considered equally, okay? We also have a traffic noise brochure that gives some very good background information about the noise process that we go through on every PDE project, okay? So to orient you to the room, we have the Southwest 10th Street connector information here. We also have some information about the I-95 at Southwest 10th Street interchange back in that corner, if anybody's interested, okay? Because there are some different things that are going on there, both, you know, above ground and on ground level, that you can't really see here. So we've kind of separated that information out so you can see that, okay? So let's get right to the Southwest 10th Street connector. I should turn this on first. That probably works a little bit better. Okay. So anyways, the Southwest 10th Street connector, I hope everybody knows that it goes from basically the Sawgrass Expressway to I-95. But there's also an adjacent I-95 project at the Southwest 10th Street interchange, and it goes along I-95 up to Hillsborough Boulevard. So while they are separate projects, we are coordinating extremely closely with them to make sure that our designs are matching and coordinated, okay? So one of the things that Mayor Gans talked about was the Community Oversight Advisory Team, or the COAT. You'll see this throughout the presentation, the COAT, Community Oversight Advisory Team. They came up with 18 main recommendations, and I believe there was like 35 sub-recommendations. But every time you see this golden key in the presentation, that means that's addressing one of the COAT's key recommendations, okay? So here they are. Here's the COAT recommendations. 15 subcategories for a total of 33, 29 of which apply directly to the Southwest 10th Street Connector project. Now, these recommendations are here tonight. They're over on these boards over here. They have been updated. As we move through the process, they will continue to be updated, okay? Many of those recommendations have been incorporated into the department's purpose and needs statement. Now, every PD&E has to have a purpose and needs statement. It's part of the process that we go through. So the PD&E process, or project development and environment process, is, well, actually, this is the whole project development process. So it's been through the planning phase. That's what the MPO went through with their COAT recommendations. So now we're here in the project development and environment phase. That's where we do our public outreach. We study the environmental impacts, the socioeconomic impacts, and the natural environment impacts. Whoops, pushed the button. And then it'll go into final design, where they will develop the final design details of, you know, exactly how wide the sidewalks will be and how much buffer zones they need, but that's all the details. So, and then it'll move into right-of-way acquisition if there's right-of-way acquisition required, and then into construction. So it's a long process. So a PDE study is basically, it's a process to satisfy the National Environmental Policy Act, or what we call NEPA. In the PDE process, there's a lot of acronyms, and NEPA's thrown around all the time. So again, it's to study the social, environmental, and engineering impacts, okay? And also, one of our goals is to identify a preferred alternative, okay? And also, like I said before, public and agency outreach is key. We need all of your input as well as the agency input, like the City of Deerfield's input. We need all of that input to help develop these alternatives. So the PDE process is broken down further here. Right now, we're still in, even though we've had our public alternatives workshop, we're still doing engineering and environmental analysis, and we're starting to prepare some environmental documents, okay? But of course, we still have to do our public hearing, do our final environmental documents, and of course, all during the process, we will be doing public outreach, okay? This is not the last meeting that we're gonna have. We're gonna be having lots more. So our purpose and need incorporates many of those COAT recommendations, okay? As you can see here, all these keys signify that those recommendations have already been incorporated into the purpose and need. So through our project development process, we want to satisfy all of those points, okay? We want to address the safety and operational issues that are caused by the congestion that exists out there on the corridor today. We need to address the local Southwest 10th Street needs, not for the people traveling through the corridor, but for the local people that live and work on the corridor, for the people who want to walk along the corridor and who want to ride bikes along the corridor. That's who we need to target, okay? But at the same time, we have to look at enhancing emergency response and evacuation time, the social demand and intermodal. Intermodal means like bicycle, pedestrian, bus travel. We have to look at all of that. We have to incorporate that all into the project. So the alternatives that we have come up with, and that we are continuing to come up with, they consider all the COAT recommendations. So we will continue to develop and refine these alternatives with agency input, with public input, but we have to avoid and minimize impacts, not only to the social environment, but also to the natural environment, okay? Now, also, a no-build alternative or a do-nothing alternative is always carried through the process. And we compare all of the alternatives and the no-build into some evaluation matrices, which are shown here. We carry a no-build all the way through so that everybody can see what are the advantages, what are the disadvantages, and everybody can make up their minds for themselves. Oops. Okay, sorry. Okay, so these next couple of slides, what you're going to see is you're going to see a lot of colors, okay? What you need to focus on are the red. Red means bad, green means good, yellow is so-so, okay? So this is how traffic was operating in 2016, in the morning and the evening. Not too bad, okay? But there's some red. So this is what will happen in the year 2040, because when we do our traffic studies, we forecast traffic out to the year 2040, okay? We don't design for today's traffic, we design for projected traffic. So this is what's gonna happen in 2040 if there's no changes made on Southwest 10th Street or at either of the interchanges, okay? So, because right now there's an interchange project planned at the Sawgrass and one planned at the east end at I-95. So if nothing happens along Southwest 10th Street, this is how traffic is going to be. Red's pretty bad. So now, if the interchange projects are done at either end, at the Sawgrass and I-95, and nothing is done along Southwest 10th Street, there's a lot of red. Now the blue that you see, that means that those segments of the roadway are operating at twice their normal capacity. So that's like gridlock, which is really bad. So now we move to what happens if we build the project. It operates much better. Yes, there is still some red, okay? We are not gonna build our way out of congestion, but there is a lot more green. a lot more green along the corridor and at the interchanges. Okay, so that's what we need to focus on. So, there are 2 facilities being designed in this right-of-way corridor. There is a managed lanes facility and a local facility. The managed lanes facility is designed to take all those people that are clogging up the road right now, and they're trying to get from the Sawgrass to I-95. We're going to take all those people off the road, put them on a separate facility, put them on a couple separate lanes, so that local Southwest 10th Street, all the communities and the businesses along Southwest 10th Street can have their road back. Okay, so that's one of the beauties of that. Okay, now we're going to have entrances and exits to the managed lanes between Power Line and Military Trail, so that the local communities can access the managed lanes. But again, that managed lanes traffic that wants to just pass through the corridor is going to be separate. Now the local roadway, local Southwest 10th Street, is going to be able to be operating at a lower speed. It's going to have bike lanes, sidewalks. It's going to be a much nicer facility for the local traveling public. Okay? So, right now we're looking at 2 alignments. And when I talk about alignments, I'm talking about the alignments of the managed lanes facility. Center alignment means that the managed lanes are in the center of the right-of-way, with the local Southwest 10th Street operating on either side. Okay, so this would be westbound, local Southwest 10th Street. This would be eastbound. So it would operate as a frontage road facility. Okay. And then when I talk about a northern alignment, the managed lanes would be on the north side of the right-of-way, with the local Southwest 10th Street totally on the south side of the right-of-way. So, I can see a couple of questions on some faces out there. You ask, what are the benefits of this? Now, with a center alignment, okay, now, if you picture Southwest 10th Street as it is today, who has access to Southwest 10th Street? Only people that live on the south side. Okay, there's Century Villages on the north side. They don't have access to Southwest 10th Street. There's a few businesses on the western end of the corridor that do have access to Southwest 10th Street. We can accommodate them very easily. But there's thousands of residents who live on the south side of Southwest 10th Street, okay? That if the center alignment is pushed through, then some of their access would change. With the northern alignment, everybody's access, everybody who lives on the south side of Southwest 10th Street would stay the same. Okay? South of, the local Southwest 10th Street would be on the south side of the managed lanes. Right.
So when
Right.
you say
So,
alignment, you mean the underground portion, or the portion?
when I'm speaking alignment, right, it's the managed lanes portion, right.
So, the local traffic will be on the south side.
Correct, of the managed lanes, right, okay? So, construction of a depressed section here in South Florida, I hope everybody knows that our groundwater level is very, very high. I mean, you dig down a couple of feet, boom, you hit water. So it's very complicated. It can be done, but it is complicated, and it requires a lot of work. It requires ground anchors to be dug into the ground, and sheet piling, dewatering would need to be done, extensive dewatering, excavation. It would probably be a 3 to 5 year construction time, and it could require some potential business relocations if we do that section. Now, the advantages of a depressed section: it may be less visually obtrusive. It may improve noise attenuation. However, we're still in the midst of our noise study. It may improve the advantage or the opportunities for landscape lids, as you can see on our plans up here. We can provide a little bit more green space in the corridor. However, there are some disadvantages. There's disadvantages with every project, okay? It would require the utility relocations, the extended complicated construction, and the permanent pump stations, because if the roadway is depressed, it is going to require permanent pump stations running 24 hours, 7 days a week, all the time. Okay? So now to go to the I-95 section, okay, and that's the portion we have back here. There are a couple alternatives being considered. Again, a center and a north alignment. This top graphic here shows what is happening. The colored portion, the orange and the pink you see, those are the elevated structures. Those are the managed lanes, okay, that are going from the managed lanes along Southwest 10th Street to the managed lanes in the median of I-95, okay? So this is what's going on above ground, okay? This graphic here shows what's going on at ground level, like right on Southwest 10th Street, okay? So this is the area that we wanted to kind of highlight. It kind of highlights this is Newport Center Drive, here's Publix, okay? And there's a recirculation that's being proposed right here, okay? Is anybody interested in this? If not, I'll move on.
At what point does the higher overpasses that you're talking about, is that at Military Trail or at Power Line?
Okay, so this is second level at Military Trail. Right here, the pink is third level. Pink is third level, orange is fourth level. And
So
that's
you're
also
talking
depicted on the,
like 595 high overpasses over there?
I'm not sure about the level of 595.
But is that right in my mind that
Yes.
that's high level? Okay.
Third, fourth level. Right now, Southwest 10th Street, like it goes over I-95, that's at the second level. So it would be a third level and a fourth level.
So we're talking about.
It would just start just west
But it
of
would
Mil-
start here. It would
Just-
start, here's Military Trail, so it'd be east of Military
Yeah,
Trail.
it's going to start just west of Military Trail and only be one level over Military
Right,
Trail.
it'd be second level at
Yeah,
Military.
second level, so it's just one story up. Then you have these ramps further east of Military Trail.
And east of the railroad.
Yeah, then it goes to third and fourth level where there's no residential area here.
Right.
So it just leaves the ground and the depressed section west of Military Trail. So we can show on the roll plot, you can see exactly where.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the north alignment.
What is the level equate to?
Okay, so from ground level, so say you're standing on the pavement, the bottom of the structure has to be 16.5 feet high for vertical clearance for trucks to get under.
So that's one level.
That's the,
That's, yeah.
right, that's the bottom of the
So
structure.
5 times 16.5 is what we're looking at.
Well, there's some
Well,
ridges
just
and
so you understand, so 16.5 is the bottom, and then you have your beam depth,
another 3
right,
feet
which
for the bridge.
that depends on the type of beam that they use. So we don't really know what that is, but generally, we can say, 10 feet. So it'd be about 27 feet would be the top of the road. So,
So
and
does that
then,
equate to 27 or in the middle of that?
but it depends what type of beam they use, but let's just say 27, and then
So-
16 and a half feet
So
from there.
100 footer. For each
No, it's the once you're above the ground that she's talking about, that's a second level. The highest thing that we have, fourth level bridge, yes, and in the center of the interchange with 95, you're gonna have 1/4 level flyover. The others will be in the third level, which would be twice as high as the
Right.
second level.
Okay, so why don't,
Yeah, that takes you over the train,
Yeah, that's
over
gotta be
Military
50
Trail.
feet high.
Yeah, the clearance is 16 and a half feet.
How many?
16 and a half feet to go over a roadway, that's the clearance.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it, just like Southwest 10th goes over it today.
I think to the point of the question is, what's the maximum height on what you have there?
Fourth level would be, this, right here, this orange structure, the 95,
How tall? What's the
80 some feet,
Yeah, that's about right. That's what I thought.
80 some feet.
okay. All right, so
We're almost
let's move
done with the
on.
presentation.
Yep, let's move
We're
on.
almost done.
Yep, let's move on. Okay, so again, at the I-95 interchange, we're looking at a north alignment and also a center alignment, okay? So same thing, exact same levels, same treatment here at Newport Center, just a little bit shifted. Remember this one? See, it's shifted to the north, and this one's shifted to the south a little bit, okay? All right, so noise. Noise is very important to a lot of people. I've talked to a couple people here that said noise is very important to them. We are doing a very detailed noise analysis for this study. We do it on every single PDE study. There are a number of noise-sensitive sites out there. We've already been out and measured the existing noise levels. Now we're in the phase of modeling that noise. What we do is we take that noise, the noise levels that we measured, we put it into the model, it validates it, and then we load up the model with our future traffic to see what levels we're going to get back. If we get noise levels that are above a certain decibel level, then we start looking at, okay, now we need noise walls, okay? And any noise walls that are warranted and feasible along the corridor are going to be very closely coordinated with any affected residences or communities. The results of that will be available in the fall of this year.
What is the criteria for put up a noise abatement? What's the decibels? No, I already have that. I
Okay.
want to hear it.
I would have to review it because I am not a noise person myself.
It's 67 decibels,
Yeah.
I believe.
And you have to have I think you have
Hearing
to
loss
have a reduction
starts
of
at
5
about
decibels.
75, and it's found at about 85 decibels, and we know the traffic sound is higher than that.
Yes.
Okay, so we're all with that.
Well, the results of our noise analysis will be available this fall, so if the noise results
Yeah, noise walls.
Well, reveal that.
It's not only sound wall, we need to
They
keep
may.
dirt of the construction, filth, all that.
The first thing that we would do is where we coordinate with the homeowners and are going to build noise walls because that's what the folks that live next to the road want. Those are constructed as a first order of business to maximize the benefit. So you're not just blocking out future traffic noise or existing traffic noise, but you're also going to take advantage of the wall to block out all the construction activities and noise. That's the first thing
So that goes
we
in
would,
first.
yes, that's what we would do first.
You're kind of bearing the lead on that, Nancy. The wall would go in first.
Yes, the wall would go
Yeah.
in first.
Yeah. Okay,
Thank
so
you.
I don't know how many of you know, but the city of Deerfield Beach has well fields out there along Southwest 10th Street, okay? Those are very important because it's the source of drinking water. So we are in the process of performing groundwater modeling to make sure that none of this construction is going to adversely affect those wells. Okay. We also have programmed 2 future landscaping projects to occur after construction of the roadway projects in order to beautify the area. Okay, that was one of the key COAT recommendations as well. Okay, so by removing traffic from the local roadway, okay, safety is increased, travel times are decreased, and cars don't sit in traffic spewing fumes, okay? We get to give the local community their roadway back, give them bicycle lanes, sidewalks, and give them improved the crosswalks that we've been hearing so much about. So our next steps in our PD&E is we're going to continue with our alternatives development. We're going to continue doing our community meetings. We've done a couple since our alternatives workshop. The public hearing is scheduled for early in 2019. If you guys sign up for our mailing list, of course you will be notified of that meeting. What we call LDCA, this is Location Design Concept Acceptance, and as Anson said earlier, that doesn't mean that what gets approved is what gets built. What that means is that a concept is getting approved. The concept of that a project is needed, this facility is needed, but it's not the final design details, okay? Certain details may change during final design, which is scheduled for mid-2019. Construction is currently funded for 2025, but the department is trying to get that money advanced to try to construct it sooner. Anson announced before that Rob Boston will be taking over the reins of the project. Anson will remain involved, but there will be, there is going to be a transition period. So, also, you can fill out a comment form, go to our website at any time, fill out a comment. It comes directly to the project team. You will be responded to. And all of the information that was presented at our alternatives workshop, including these roll plots and all the boards that you see here, are posted on our website, okay? and that's it.
And, yeah, so for example, if somebody wanted to find out about the project that wasn't able to make this meeting, and they're asking you, well, how in the world can I find out? You can tell them, go to that website. They can call myself or Rob. We can go through the exhibits. Everything here is online, and I've done that with several people, and it's great. You just open up the exhibit, we walk through it together, so that you can understand everything. Yes, the presentation is online as well. So now I guess we'll take a few questions. If we don't call on you right away, don't worry, we'll get to everybody. We'll be here as late as we need to be, so just please be patient. I'll start from this side of the room.
What's the anticipated cost of this, and is there going to be a special tax assessment for this, or?
There will not be a special tax assessment right now. The two projects together, meaning 95, taking this project all the way into 95 is about $600 million we have budgeted. Yeah. We can get our money from the fuel tax and also from, state and local funds. We do not do local taxes on local communities to pay for roads that we build in local cities. I know that's a question we get quite a bit. It's like, is Deerfield Beach going to have to pay for that? And no, they wouldn't have to pay for that.
I will want to add one caveat to that. The relocation of utilities, based on the way the state statute is, the cost to move that, to relocate the utilities is $10 million. They're currently telling us, based on state statute, that the city of Deerfield Beach would have to pay that. That's absolutely absurd. We are completely against that, and we are working with both FDOT, the state, and with the Broward Metropolitan Planning Organization to say absolutely not acceptable. And I can tell you the person that spearheaded getting this 10th Street connector through was a commissioner out of Coral Springs. And when we saw each other at the last one of these meetings, and we do, believe it or not, actually speak to each other, he said, that's absolutely absurd that the city of Deerfield Beach would have to pick up that $10 million. So we do have the support of even the people who are trying to push this project forward. So that's
absolutely. I just wanted to add to that as well. That's something that we're looking into very, there's a lot of ways, there's different mechanisms that we can reimburse utilities, but it's a very special, like he said, it's a statute. It's kind of black and white. There's ways that we can, and we're exploring every opportunity that we can figure out. We're still in the investigation period, so it's very possible that, Deerfield wouldn't have to pay for anything. But if,
Deerfield's not going to pay for it.
if we exhaust all of our opportunities, just like the mayor said, we can look for out-of-the-box solutions because we realize that's a big cost for the city to bear.
I know that part of the restoration process, or FPNL's already moved over facilities far to the south. Okay. Put in new poles, hurricane resistant, all that. But the only things left are the DOT lights. Is that what we're talking about? Utilities?
No, the utilities that we're talking about are the city utilities.
City utilities.
Yeah, FPNL, the DOT and the FPNL.
Whose lights are those?
Yeah, the city would never pay for FPNL relocation.
Whose street lights are those?
Those are the states.
So you would charge us for moving?
No, the only utilities we're talking about
city utilities. That
are
means your
city
sewer systems,
utilities.
water lines,
Yes.
anything that runs with it.
Yeah, the city is not, would never be responsible for FPNL, Comcast, or, anybody like that.
Is SunPass engaged in this, and where's the $600 million coming from?
Comes from a combination of state and local funds.
Is SunPass engaged in it?
We're working with them, because it is connecting to
So
toll
private-
facilities.
Private funds as well?
No private funds.
I thought SunPass was private.
No.
So are there going to be speed lanes that we'll pay for?
We have not, it is a connection from the Sawgrass Expressway to 95 Express, which are both toll facilities. We have not made a decision whether this link would be tolled.
We have pushed, that was something that was, just so you know, a little history, the code committee was tasked with only looking, and they were very specific. You're only allowed to look from about the waterways to Military Trail. How it connected was not something that the code committee was tasked with. They said that's something we were gonna have to resolve. Now, miraculously, as soon as this project started moving a little bit forward, suddenly the I-95 connector and the turnpike connectors popped up. But they were only tasked with that stretch in the middle, which is the ones that impact residents the most. When we spoke about tolls, they said, we're not at that point, we're not talking about tolls, but everything that we have said moving forward, we don't feel that those tolls, that cost should be incurred within the city of Deerfield Beach.
Ma'am?
Questions, as you were saying about, how it would be on the side, or maybe, going up the road. So, I mean, it only makes sense that I guess the road would have to be widened, right?
Well, there will be two facilities.
Two roadways.
We'll have
Because
two
then on
roadways.
10th and military, I don't know, it's already gridlocked in
Yeah.
the morning, and I mean, it's a nightmare already. And I literally live on the corner of 10th and military. So, I mean, if that's gonna be widened,
The connector that we're talking about, the connection portion, the managed lanes is taking traffic from Sawgrass straight to 95, that will have ingress as well within the city limits for folks that don't want to, that want to bypass the military trail intersection. That's who we're talking about, that's going to be at the second level. So you're going to have a lot of traffic going right over that intersection.
west of military a little bit, I mean?
Over, yeah, well, they would come up west of Military Trail and stay elevated over Military Trail, over the railroad tracks.
So the military trail would be like mostly lower.
Yes,
Yes.
exactly, and it's gonna be
So-
expanded, they're taking the traffic out of that interchange is gonna greatly improve, that intersection.
So
One
that
of the,
would be widening 10?
10th would still be 4 lanes around the
Oh,
local
okay.
Southwest 10th
Okay.
Street, yeah. One of the ways that helps improve, military trails, you may notice if you're going north and south on Military Trail, you're always gonna lose as far as green time to Southwest 10th Street. And the reason is not because Southwest 10th Street is more important, traffic to get them through, but the thing is, if they're not flushed through, if they don't move through the intersection and have anywhere to go, it doesn't do any good to give Military Trail any green time, because the people turning will back up and prevent the through movements. So that's a big, it'll be a big improvement for Military Trail intersection.
Yeah, because it's a nightmare.
Yeah, absolutely.
Already. Yeah.
Okay, there's a lady in gray.
Thank you.
So at the last meeting that we had, they were pretty sure that there was going to be overpass in front of the waterways. They were insisting that it's pretty much going to be an overpass, that it's not going to be ground level in front of the waterways. So what we just saw here showed no overpass in front of the waterways, so we're a little confused. Is there going to be an overpass in front of our development, or is there not?
That is the concept that we have now, is if there's an overpass in front of waterways.
There is an overpass in front of waterways.
That's not shown in the presentation, because the presentation doesn't go through each
Doesn't go through each
segment. It's
intersection.
talking about general sections. We have it here. We heard a lot from the folks at Waterways at the last meeting. We're working with that, but we have not revised the concept. We're not ready to bring something new to the table and show people, because we're still brainstorming what we can do. We heard that loud and clear from Waterways, and so that's what we're looking into. But
As a matter of fact, we have a design workshop set tomorrow.
yeah, I
for-
mean, we've been
it's a
looking at that
half-day design
nonstop
workshop
since the
to
alternatives
address
workshop.
this. So,
Yeah, so,
yeah, it's
I
a work
mean,
in progress.
Yeah,
You
this
know,
is
we
just
can't-
a
We can't come up
concept.
with things overnight, but we're working on it.
Ma'am?
Is there a budget in place for the 600 million, itemizing what you're going to be spending and all?
Yeah, it comes, in order for us to, we say we want to build a roadway project. We're going to do X work, we're going to do something to this road. But we say, we think it's going to cost $100 million or $2 million. We can't just say, go ahead and send that to the legislature and have them program that. We do what we call a long-range estimate, and that's broken down by pay items, which is exactly how we left the project. We say, we do a calculation of how much asphalt it is, and we have that, so engineers prepare that, that's double-checked. That's the only way, unless we have a long-range estimate, that anybody is going to give us any money or program any money for any projects. So,
Is that available to us this week?
yes. Yeah, it's not online anywhere or anything like that, but if you request it, we can send it to you. Yeah, absolutely. Sir?
How many lanes are you going to have going each direction? And then will you be able to add more lanes that submerged road? Are you gonna allow for any future growth?
No, right now, both facilities are 4-lane, 2 lanes in each direction. We have shoulders. I don't know in the future if they said, well, you know, the shoulders aren't that important, you know, shift things over. But no, it's not. The typical section is what we call, where we lay out the road and say you're going to have, okay, 2 lanes this direction, 2 lanes that direction, the median's 50 feet or 20 feet, of the shoulders. We call that the typical section. And we do design typical sections occasionally, or, you know, routinely to accommodate future growth. Like a 4-lane section, we would say this is designed so if we need to 6-lane it in the future, we can. But these are not designed with that in mind, future-wise. And I'm sorry, you had your hand up for a while, I apologize.
The project being done on the turnpike, is that going to work in sync with this, or are they all being treated separate, so they're all been built in every way?
No, we just met this afternoon. We meet monthly with the Turnpike. We are, Turnpike is the Department of Transportation as well. They have different funding sources. They kind of have their own business model, if you want to say, and they have their own budget and things like that. So will we line up exactly for construction? Well, we'll try. You know, we want to, you know, build, we don't want to build something that doesn't go anywhere. But we coordinate with them routinely. We make sure that anything we design will tie into what their ultimate plans are. We have a lot more control over these 2 projects because they're both in the District 95 and this local, and Southwest 10th Street. So those 2, we're definitely constantly, you know, in sync together. But we are with the Turnpike as well.
Yeah, because it's my understanding that if they're in sync, then that would allow the overpass to move away from waterways into that open area between the work zone and your interchange. That was something considered.
Yes, yeah. We from the last workshop, we got quite a bit of input on that, and so that was one of the topics today with the Turnpike, and we're meeting with them again tomorrow and trying to come up with a solution that makes it.
From a waterway standpoint, from the Coke Committee, because we weren't tasked with looking at the connectors, the Turnpike was never part of the situation. So as far as that being an elevated road in front of the waterways, that was never something that was ever presented to us as even a possibility. So now knowing that this project is coming forward and that's there, we are adamantly against having that in front of the waterways.
I'm going to grab a couple of people on this. I'm sorry.
Makes sense. So I have a question. Being that I was very involved with the city of Deerfield Beach and the water well that was installed, and one of the reasons why the city had picked the area where the wells are at because of retention ponds that are there. So based on what I'm seeing here, it appears as those retention ponds may go away, or at least vastly reduced. And with the rains that we had a couple weeks ago, I saw some amazing flooding in the area of the build. So just wondering if that's been considered as part of the environmental study and how that's going to impact the community. And how does it impact the city of Deerfield Beach in terms of the water well? Because again, the well was selected because of the huge retention pond that's there now.
Are you talking about like the area within the DOT right-of-way that's a swale, or?
I believe it's city property. Am I correct?
Depending on exactly.
To the south of the pavement.
I live 30 feet from one of the wells, and
we go through a pond siting process because obviously, even not just regards to that, once we add, we call it impervious area. You know, when the rain falls and it's grass, it's going to percolate into the ground. If you're putting asphalt down, that's not going into the ground; it's flowing off somewhere.
Yeah,
so obviously, any project, we're going to add a lot of impervious area. This one, we're doubling, you know, the amount of lanes out there today. So then we look for ponds. So that's like really the next step in the process is to identify pond sites where we would put the water. But we haven't, you know, we're just beginning that process now. So we haven't really, you know, selected any sites.
So new ponds have to be created, or are you saying new ponds need to be?
Yeah, we would create new ponds. Yeah,
where would that be?
That's the process.
Okay.
If we have room inside the right of way, we could just do it right there. But
I don't anticipate you having a waterfront home, Lou. Sorry.
Yes, and we would look this. I can just tell you right now. Yeah, we wouldn't say, you know, oh, we're going to put it in the middle of, you know, a resident, or we're going to relocate anybody. There's plenty of areas around here where there's, you know, that we can build a pond where we're not relocating a business or relocating a residence. or anything like that. And also, this kind of,
Luke, you talking about between 24th and 28th?
yeah,
There's two wells.
yeah. Oh, where? We're still identifying sites for ponds locations. I mean, we're looking right now, as you know, there's a development, Toll Brothers, that's looking at acquiring part of the, I believe they may have already acquired part of the golf course that used to be in Century Village. And so they are planning to develop, I believe, the first kind of chunk of that property, and the rest is going to be turned over to Century Village as a passive park. So one of the things, you know, once we are able to identify that would be able to meet the drainage needs, we'll approach Century Village or the management company and say, are you interested in having a pond there, you know, as a decorative feature in the passive parks that are created by that golf course? But that's still, you know, still something, until we know further, you know, what we're going to build, we're still exploring that. That's a little further down the line.
I didn't really answer the question on that. It hasn't been determined.
Yeah,
We're not
exactly.
sure.
It's to be
That's what this
determined.
whole process is about.
Exactly. Exactly. It's kind of it's one of the things is we're not able to say, people will say, well, can I get a noise wall? There's no reason for us at a concept level until things are nailed down it takes a lot of analysis. Are you going to do that? We want to, first, once we have BAF on the concept, you know, and we know that we've satisfied everything that we can, then immediately we're going to go through here and figure out exactly where noise walls are warranted and go to those homeowners and say, do you want a noise wall? Because, you know, some people want one, some people don't. And so we would go through that process. Let me just grab.
Yeah, I know you guys are doing nice models and everything, how everything's gonna look, but you get out in the meantime, maybe they can crazy travel on things while you're building.
During construction, you mean, or before construction? During construction, the situation.
Crazy already, and
yeah.
You're gonna bring it to Hillsborough.
Well, it should during construction, because we're creating a whole new facility, and the facility that exists today is really only 4 lanes in most sections. We would be able to maintain 4 lanes all throughout construction. So the situation, other than the
Where? Are you going to bring it through our neighborhood?
No. Everything would be inside the right of way.
We've heard stories that
everything would be in the right of way.
15th Street.
I can tell you this. Whoever's telling you those stories, I know what they're talking about. There's nothing like that even being considered. There's no way the city of Deerfield Beach should be okay with that. That's not what's being there. The natural traffic patterns, that's going to be something we're going to have to address. But I can tell you, that's not something that they're looking as an alternate. It's never been presented in any of these conversations we've had. Matter of fact, we're putting traffic calming on 50, so it'd be kind of counterproductive to do that.
Yeah, I know, exactly.
Do you have 8 lanes?
Yes.
How are you gonna keep that?
Well, the plan,
I have no idea.
the plan is
can
to
look at the
build,
typical
okay,
sections
see, because
after.
right now, there's a lot of excess green, there's a lot of green space. Correct. There's a lot of green space that we can use to build a new facility or a temporary roadway while we build the new facility.
Okay, so you're gonna have a road right next to the houses then, okay?
Well,
It's gonna be a road right next to
okay.
So it will be within the right of way.
It will be within the right of way.
Yeah.
But
Within the
there
right of
will
way.
be 2 facilities.
Within the property.
Within
that
the property that the
department
state owns.
owns. Yeah.
Right.
And if there's
And one,
we could look at. You can look at the roll plot and see exactly where the road would go. If you want to come up and look at that after the meeting, if you want to look at your house, you can see exactly where it would go, where the right of way is today and how close. I'm sorry, what?
Are the exact measurements in feet available yet anywhere?
Yeah,
Yes.
it's the scale.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
if you look at this area here,
Go ahead.
there's a lot of area
In
there.
your description,
Be able to
you talked
maintain
about
traffic.
doing it looks like almost underground, not ground level, was more expensive both in labor and cost, because our water pumps are there, there's a lot of city and everything on that line. Let's say that we can't move those, and it doesn't meet the eco or social friendly. Are we talking about stopping this whole connection, or then are we talking about potential overpasses in front of our homes at Waterford and Bristol Heights?
the depressed, yeah, we're not looking at, we definitely, the coal process that they were talking about came up with the idea that, we want to depress the road wherever we can. If that's not feasible in a certain area, then we would go at grade, meaning at ground level. The thing that we always want to avoid, wherever we can, is anything going up in the air, because that's what we know, nobody wants. So that's how we're approaching it. That's our list of, priorities.
What's your approach to the second phase?
I'll repeat it. What did you say?
If there's a significant change in here,
Yeah, when we, in order to get, we'll have public outreach during the design phase. So when this study phase ends and we have location concept design acceptance, we'll enter the design phase. We also will have public outreach all during that. When we get approval at the end, that goes to our central office in Tallahassee. It used to go to Federal Highway, but now the Florida has taken it, assumed the responsibility for that. They look, I'm sorry, his question was, I meant to repeat that, I apologize. His question was, when this enters the design phase, when we leave the phase that we're in now, the concept development phase, kind of the PDE study phase where we're trying to come up with a concept, does the public still get to put in input? There's definitely public involvement. We still will have public meetings and keep everyone apprised, especially on a project this scale. There would be massive public involvement. But what he was asking, well, what kind of change could you do? Would it have public involvement? When we get approval for this, and it gets approved by central office, and we get, they look at what we did and they say, you know what, the concept is good. You have approval to go into final design. We have a reevaluation. We have a reevaluation that gets sent to central office during the design phase, before we can acquire any right-of-way, and before we go to construction. And what that reevaluation is doing is saying, what changed since? And if we show them something completely different that says, oh, well, we decided, you know what, maybe an overpass the whole length is better, we're going to do that. They're going to say, no, you can't do that. Are you crazy? That's not the same thing that we approved. So that's kind of the check and balance there. But public involvement would be continuous throughout design, just so to keep people aware of what we're doing.
Yeah, has there been any studies on how much our property value will decrease by this project?
No. I mean, what we can.
Sell my house. No one's going to buy it, knowing there's going to be a superhighway in my backyard. So, I mean, as a homeowner, I think we should be reimbursed for something. Literally in the backyard.
We can try and minimize the appearance from the homes. We can pull a lot of
the money by building this. Right. It doesn't affect me. I don't drive that, but the property value of my house is going down now because of this.
The congestion is only going to get worse through there. It doesn't. Yes, I understand. I understand your concern, and I don't disagree with what you're saying. It's about the fact that you don't travel through here every day. But you can see the traffic it is today. It's only going to get worse. This is the best we can do to get them out of local Southwest 10th Street. I don't know how when you have that much congestion and it's going to get worse and worse. That's not going to be attractive, for property values. But at least if you're saying traffic can flow and people, you will have from the waterways, you'll have access just past power line to go straight to 95 with no signals, no nothing. That's an attractive feature. But right.
Get on 95 and sit in traffic.
There's express lanes under construction that should alleviate traffic on 95, but you're right. I mean, it's not a panacea. Right now, this is a lot worse than 95, and it will be.
Have you seen I-95 in the morning? Because it's not.
Go ahead.
I saw on the chart she had advantages and disadvantages. 3 advantages and 6. Twice
The traffic is gonna come here regardless. All we can do is try and make the best of the situation.
How much time during the day? 3 hours, maybe an hour and a half in the morning and an hour? So for 3 hours, there's traffic?
That's gonna get worse and worse.
Spend $600 million?
It's gonna get worse and worse.
Then why not
Right.
invest all that
It's-
money, why can't they, give us something towards our houses, appreciated value? I look over my fence, I'm looking at Southwest 10th Street. It's gonna directly affect the value of my house. Anyone's house.
Is there any consideration for the homes that are going to a larger house?
One at a time,
One
please.
at a time, sorry,
One
I'll
at a
come to you
time.
next, sorry.
Is there any consideration for the homes that are gonna be directly affected by this? Because it's definitely gonna depreciate our value of our homes. The homes that are right there on 10th Street is gonna be affected more than any other part of the neighborhood. So, I mean, what happens to these homes that are right there on 10th Street?
We can put noise walls to abate noise. We have a landscaping project that will come through. There's a lot of green area still left that can try and.
The value of our homes though, tremendously. That's what we're looking at,
And
Well-
in addition to that, you're talking about going underground, is that correct?
Yes.
For this project? So do you take into effect what happens underground as far as houses shifting, cracking, whatever?
Yes,
You
yes.
know the lingo.
Yeah. We call it
But-
vibration monitoring, all that, yeah.
But
All
that
that's,
also would depreciate someone's house, right?
if it no, we measure the vibration. If it damages your house, then you're gonna be compensated. Yeah, so all the construction methods are minimizing vibration, not to affect adjacent homes or buildings or properties. I'm sorry, I was gonna, this gentleman over here, sorry.
I have 2 properties in that neighborhood actually, and if I ever needed to leave that neighborhood because my family grows, as you can tell, we're still young, we're in the process of having a family. I'll never be able to recuperate the money that I put into those 2 homes, which means what? I completely remodeled 2 of these homes, including the one that I live in currently. So that's about $172,000 that I may never see again. I might be able to sell my house for what I originally purchased it for. What then?
I know you're talking about landscaping going in, but that
Don't
doesn't
care
fix
about
a
landscaping.
60-foot wall that you're trying to How big of a wall is not 60 foot are you talking about going out there?
60,
No, or how tall, when you're talking about barrier, how tall of a wall is it, or the sound barriers that are gonna go up?
It would depend on what would decrease the noise. I mean, they range in, I think, from 12 or 14 to 22 feet.
Thank you. Since this is in the early stages of the project, does the Department of Transportation not think about a real estate assessment evaluation for people that are affected by that? Why is that not a part of your project plan? And should it not be going forward? Because I think we all want that.
Yes.
We have to plan for the future.
If you lived right there, how would you feel?
I've been here for 5 years. I've been on it for 5 years, and my house has already gone up with property. It's doing well.
Yeah.
So you guys are gonna come and really cancel all that out?
And of course, you guys don't care even live there.
I don't.
We get it.
I think the takeaway is maybe a study needs to be performed.
Not of the both of you.
Study.
Live there.
It's not real estate analysis.
Right now it's speculation,
To
right?
convince all of us.
He's
Yeah, it's speculation.
But it can
But
happen,
the
you guys
study
can
needs
take
to
an
be
analysis. You can do it. Some project management.
What about that law that if we require,
Sir?
I'm not talking about compensation. I'm not even talking about compensation. I'm just asking for an analysis, a real estate analysis to show me in the future by 2024 what my property value is going to be because of this project. Not because of any other factor. So if you freeze it, where it's at right now, what's going to happen percentage-wise? That's all I'm asking.
The cost of the wall, the cost of all this construction, rerouting back and forth, what would that cost be?
If everybody can kind of, if everybody can be quiet for just a minute, I'd like to try and answer a few more questions. We'll be here. You can come up and look at the plots, or, tell us whatever you want. We'll be here as late as we need to be. But I'd like to answer some questions for folks before.
I have two questions. Open Waterford, and my first question is, you said 2025 is the plan to start gating and trying to push it forward. What are you looking at? What actually year do you get the money when you start actual construction?
2021, 2022, I think is about as realistic.
4 years.
Yeah, that's about as realistic as we could, I think.
And depending upon if they get the money, that's what you're saying.
Yeah, that's a realistic.
My second question is, I do use Southwest 10th Street to go out to the Sawgrass, and I use 28th as some of my neighbors do in Waterford to go left. Now, what would happen to our access in Waterford to Southwest 10th Street?
That's what I'm saying.
With the north alternative, which is the favored alternative, your access wouldn't change. 28.
With the center
With
alternative.
the center alternative,
Would be altered.
it would be altered. Yeah.
You would have to turn right, go down the military trail, make a U-turn. That's why. Wait a minute. That's why, oh, sorry, 28th? Sorry, 28th won't change, sorry. Sorry, but that's also why Anson prefaced his answer with the north alternative is the favorite, because that doesn't change anybody's access.
Anybody's access along Southwest 10th on the south side.
The biggest thing in my goal, and this goes back and Mayor Dan can attest to it, I-95, every time this has been brought up, my main question, and if you can answer it, I have a letter. Why wasn't that the project first? Because that is where the biggest issue is. It's not along 10th Street between Powerline and Military. If you've ever sat out there in the morning and watched the traffic, everybody's trying to get in to the northbound and southbound out of the right-hand lane and the middle lane, which ties up the traffic all the way down the road. So why wasn't that part of the project first before disturbing 10th Street?
They're simultaneous, the two studies for
That's not what
90.
the letter says.
Are you talking about the interchange with 95 and Southwest 10th Street?
Yes.
Yeah, they're simultaneous studies. I think they're 1 year apart. Okay, yeah. I mean, if we move them up, we would want to have them as close together so that they open together.
The goal was always to have them funded at the same time, but it didn't work out that way. We don't have
So they would. Yeah, our goal. I mean, honestly, we're looking to try and ideally we would do them as one project, but they would go to construction as soon as possible because it's like you said. There's no reason to open one without the other. So.
And I-95 is done yet. It's only going to create a large problem.
They'll go to 95. The improvements on 95 and on Southwest 10th Street would go together.
But that should be part of the project that's done first, because if you open it up first, there's still going to be stuff right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's going to be a beautiful.
Yeah. No, we'll coordinate the opening. I mean, it has to be a lot further along before we figure out, we don't know, until we come up with a concept that we're settled on, we don't know the construction duration for either project. But we would try and line them up so they would finish at the same time. Potentially, yeah. Yeah, it's a if you have a noise barrier, you have a wall blocking you, but the construction, all 6 years wouldn't be right in front of any one spot, but the length of construction could be up to 6 years. Again, until we have a further, a design concept that's settled on, we don't know the duration, but the cross section is a substantial effort in construction.
Can I ask you?
1 sec, sorry. I'm waiting her.
With the amount of money that y'all spend on all of these meetings, these projects, and all your time they're building and all the limitations and everything, why do you not have a study of line water without you see those property? And y'all there.
Which coming out of here?
Property values and that's all.
I apologize, I can't.
We are directly.
Everybody, please, people are still asking questions. Can everybody quiet down a little bit, please, so we can hear?
With the expenses, all the paychecks that are going to be sitting in it. Well, so I'm not sounding, why would you not use this study to buy waterways out, buy the properties, that land for anything that you wanted? And I also understood somebody else brought this up, and you all said something about that you didn't know anything about the actual property value, and that's what the questions have been complaining about since the beginning of this, is how is the impact on property value? I don't understand how it's and I'm just here saying if you didn't realize you had your concerns, because I mean, that's what he's reading about.
Well, we couldn't buy, we can't buy private property for no reason. We can't.
To manage the city property.
But it is you see the road over here, it's going a little bit inside of that. Yes, they're gonna move this back to about here, right?
Yeah, to the orange line.
No, I would say that, yes, we hear a lot about it.
Yeah. This yellow with the two dashes? Yeah, that would be the proposal right away.
Oh, that's where it stops.
I've heard that a lot.
That's where all the improvements. So they're not gonna, so these, you're not gonna widen these roads? No, it's not.
It's just like a
It's a
department,
this is
the FA, we don't do different
Guys, if we kind of limit the conversation, and do we have any more questions? Or you guys want to come up and do this? Yes?
Yeah, we can come up.
Yes, sir.
What company is it?
Me?
Yes.
So this is where it's going to stop. What's this line, the orange line?
You're the responsible who pays for your company.
The department. She works for the department.
And as far as the 95 connector, when it makes sense, that's the cost of
What happens is you have to do harmonization, you can just stop it dead.
do the 95
So
connector, watch the
this one is
traffic.
trying to be, it's a temporary easement to harmonize. Like say for different elevation, you can just have a drop off. So you have to do some construction, but it's not hard construction. It will be harmonization, it's called harmonization. It's just to bring it back so it's.
So now where would
Our
the
biggest
wall
fear
go?
was, whenever they try to do these connectors, now they're leaving, we've always said that the I-95 connection was key. Our biggest fear is that whatever they come up with, they think works at that intersection, might screw this project going west. We might be bottled, we might be backed into a corner with a limited ability to take the project and get the project that would benefit us better than having it run down our throat. Our biggest fear was, however they connected, we wanted to make sure they didn't come up with a plan that was going to box us in or limit our possibilities in that center area, because that's where it's really impacted the rest. So that was our big
Maintaining the ability to
And he's saying the road, everything's going to stop right here.
Please statute.
So our goal was
See,
that
but
whole
this is bar.
we said, look, this is what we want. How do you connect it? That's your problem, it's not our problem. All right, and that's kind of the way we started. The entire conversation's been that way. Because what we didn't want them to do is start working on something, which they go, the only thing we can do is now put a giant 595. Exactly.
But it was there a study on the 95 and said this is it, they can still take care of
Exactly
it.
what that would look like, if you just built a 95 interchange and did nothing along Southwest 10th Street, yeah, we could show you exactly what that would look like.
It may help short term, but in 2040, programs are much right.
We're limited.
The buildings are going to.
We're actually right up here. We're always
So, right now.
Because they don't have sawgrass.
Sawgrass, only for that, even though if you drive on Hillsborough, you see it on the expressway at times, but that's the only true expressway. Guys, I'm sorry, it's hard to get done with questions. Yes, sir?
So this is when it's pushing the local.
back where the retainage ponds are right now, basically. There's a sidewalk over there. Yeah. Okay.
I think that ship sailed a long time ago. We'll be able to do that. If you want to waste money, you can try to do that. I promise you it would be. I hear you, because what people don't realize is actually 10th Street is going in and it's supposed to go up. You know that. Also, what you may not know, there's supposed to be a toll road on military connect over in Palm Beach County back in the 80s. So it's amazing if you look back in history of this whole project in a while.
We see that on I mean, that's typical of 595 and the access roads, except that 595 is elevated.
And so, the city of Deerfield allowing us to manage city property, so it appears that our yards are larger than they really are. How will that affect with this?
The berm will stay. That'll stay. Now, if they have to put a sound wall over there, if the sound wall's going in over there, it would be on their property, not on the city of Deerfield property. So we're not interested in.
Not like 595.
They've got their own line within the park.
Coming out
Yes,
this
ma'am.
road, like come out of here.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the
Could we still get to 95, like coming out this
Just like you're
road?
right.
Right now. They just take that into their
This is
noise
essentially be the same
calculation,
exact
saying,
route
oh, they
we
have
have
this
now.
already, so we don't need to build a road
This
this.
road's just getting pushed
Okay,
over.
another thing, with the
And
wall
how
and the
where
noise.
does this road
You're doing
merge
studies
onto
now.
the depressed
You're
area?
telling us it's only gonna get worse.
Where would you access this to get that, or how would you get on 95?
The
But you're
reason,
not
what
saying
they,
that, you're saying we're building it to what the information you have.
no, we're gonna do a model, or he'll do a model. And when you see him out doing any, when they go out and do sound recording, all that is to validate the model, to make sure that it's right. Then he puts in the traffic based on 2040 projections to see what it's gonna be then. That's what's gonna be, so today you may be over it, you may be under it, but in 2040 is what's gonna make you eligible for would be eligible for noise barriers
I'm
based on the
picturing a
noise.
small 595 in my backyard, and my road is 84. That's what I'm picturing.
It's important for everybody to know this because your input is important. If it wasn't for your input, this project right here would be 595. All the other cities in Broward County are part of the MPO, and we don't have enough votes on the MPO to stop this project.